Church life. I have been on the Christian journey since 1992, when I got out of the military and separated from my first wife. Looking back, I can remember it being a really tough year, to be honest, due to the life I had lived. I knew Christianity was not going to be an overnight feat. I was not only ex-military, I was also ex-wild child as well. Nevertheless, I stayed focused, worked hard, and through God's grace, continued to persevere. When I remarried in 1998, my spiritual walk didn't change one bit. My new wife and I attended Sunday school and participated in weekly Bible study. I was even on the ministerial staff, which gave me an opportunity to speak and teach occasionally. As far as I was concerned, we were doing all the right things when it came to church business. I can truly say life was definitely good at church. Unfortunately, you can't stay at church forever, even though some try. The problem was, no one could seem to explain how to effectively transfer what we were hearing in church and take it back out onto the streets to the non-church people. Don't get me wrong, I've been part of several churches that have done outreach work, but I needed to know how to push this beyond just periodic outreach into everyday life. The bangers in Chi-Town, as well as many other cities around the country, seem to be working full-time, every single day. Meanwhile, the religious-minded tend to be operating on a we'll get around to it type schedule. This ought not to be so. To be honest, what I've noticed is that there appears to be an abundance of churches sitting right in the middle of the very areas most of the mayhem is taking place. This is a clear sign that very few churches in many areas know how to appropriately convey the church life back into the streets or the world. I'm not trying to say we need to march or protest as in the past. No, I'm simply posing a question. As they said once before, what would Jesus do? I bet you didn't see that coming, did you? Would him and his disciples protest? Maybe they would get together and read and sing songs. Or perhaps they would spend a lot of time talking about how bad the world had gotten. This is definitely not to point fingers at any particular religion or person. It's just to say, where's the power at? Where's the influence of discipleship in the world? What's the point of all the religious campaigning with no real power or peace? Where is God in all of this? Is he even real? Where is the evidence? Faith under fire. Late one Saturday night around 1 o'clock in the morning, I was suddenly awakened from out of my sleep by the sound of rapid gunfire. I frantically jumped up out of my bed and rushed to the window to see what was going on. The only thing I could see were people running and shooting at each other. Seriously, there had to be at least 12 people in all shooting. Apparently a major altercation between the GDs and the Latin Kings had jumped off during that time of the morning. I couldn't believe that this was happening right before my eyes. This was too surreal. Even with all my daily prayer, meditation, and studying I have been doing, this was still a bit much for me. I love an action flick. I just didn't need to be right in the middle of one. As I stood there looking out the window, I was completely blown away by what I was seeing. Then from out of nowhere, one of the oddest thoughts just sparked inside of me. How did I feel about all of this? At first I was thrown back a little by the question that I was thinking. I mean, come on. To be awakened in the middle of the night by people shooting right outside your door is pretty self-explanatory as to how I would feel. Nevertheless, for whatever reason, this was the question of the moment. What did I think about all that I was seeing? I could say I was shocked and definitely confused by the reality of what was happening. It was almost like being in a bad dream. Then on top of that, I was already mentally tired. I mean, really tired. This was heading into the 4th or 5th year of the gangs literally going back and forth with all this craziness. These dudes seemed relentless towards destroying one another. It was apparent that they didn't sleep, and no one else was going to sleep either. This was obvious by the fact they chose to have a shootout at 1:30 in the morning. As they say, for the love of God, go to bed, why don't you? Looking back now, however, I believe the real question that was being asked that night while standing at the window was, am I afraid? Was my daily spiritual practice paying off? Or was I now thrown off my spiritual mark by the suddenness of these circumstances? In this moment of calamity, the real question was, which was more evident, my peace or my fear? Moments such as this clearly tell us who we really are. They either prove our strength and fortitude or reveal our weakness and lack of faith. No one wants to go through trying times, but often without these moments, we would never know who we really are or what we really believe. Due to the adrenaline from everything that was going on, I never really paid much attention to my emotions, nor did I feel a sense of fear in that moment. Believe it or not, but for some reason, I felt steadfast. I was not shaken. In the midst of all of this shooting, I was not shaken. Perhaps that was due to my time I spent over in the Gulf War, or perhaps it was having to endure this ongoing battle for the last few years. I believe it could have been because I had learned to trust Psalms 91:7, which says, 1,000 may fall at my left, and 10,000 may fall at my right, but it shall not come near my dwelling place. On many occasions, I've seen situations unravel all around me, but truly I can say because of my Father's grace, I've remained unscathed. Wherever we are, God our Father is also, if we consciously believe and hold to that truth. In spite of the battle that was going on outside, I searched my heart to see if in that moment, if I still believed Psalms 91:7 to be true. We often say we believe in God, but in moments like this, the real truth comes out. I pondered for a moment, but it didn't take long for me to make up my mind. I was completely confident with my Father. So with the conflict still raging, I said to myself, yes, I believe. On that note, I then dropped it, went back to bed, and prayed for them. I figured the only people who would be out in the dark at that time of the morning shooting were people who were living in darkness. This is sad to say, but it's the truth. This is why our prayers must go out to the world. Trust me, they need it. And oh yeah, the cops showed up 10 minutes later after everything was over and everyone was gone, even though the precinct was 1 block away.